Hello friends, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Danny and today we're going to be vlogging my experience reading someone else's 5-star read. This vlog is in collaboration with Nell from Danni.Dabbles. She has put together a group of people who submitted their 5-star reads. We had to submit 3 5-star reads, and our 5-star reading list was exchanged. We have no idea who is in this collaboration. We have no idea whose list that we got, and we were supposed to pick one or more of the books and vlog our experience. So that's what this is going to be, our 5-star exchange. So the individual whose list I got, the 3 books were Gone Girl, The 7 Lives of Evelyn, or The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and I'm Glad That My Mom Died. So for this reading vlog, I am going to be reading I'm Glad My Mom Died. Hopefully I can read it without the glare. The reason that I'm choosing this over the other 2, Gone Girl, I kind of already know some of the general plot, and because of the fact that it has been so popular in the past. Also, I have found that domestic thrillers aren't really my jam, so I didn't want to pick that one up. And then the seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, movie stars and such, as far as like reading about fictional characters in like music or movies, it's just not something that's that I'm drawn to. However, and I know that this person is an actress, so Jeanette McCurdy, I believe this is the woman who played iCarly. I don't actually know that for certain because I never watched iCarly, but I'm pretty sure that's where this came from. And this is a nonfiction. This is her memoir. And I've had several people in my everyday life that have read this and absolutely loved it. And I don't read a ton of nonfiction, and so I thought that this would be kind of a fun way for me to vlog my experience with nonfiction and also reading about Jeanette's life. I know that she definitely had some tragic experiences and heartbreaking things happen, and so I'm interested to hear more about her. And like I said, I don't read a lot of nonfiction, so this also gets me kind of out of my comfort zone in that instance. So yeah, I'm excited to read this and see what my thoughts are. This book is about 300 pages, and so my plan is to update you guys every 100 pages or so, unless something just pops out at me and I feel like I just have to talk to you at the moment. So I will catch you guys when I've read about 100 pages. Okay, here for my 100-page update. I did not expect the amount of ludicrous things that happened in her life as a very young child. So far I've read from when she was 6 to when she's 12, I believe, is the first 100 pages. 12 to 13 is where I ended it. And, oh my God. Definitely if you're going to read this book, read trigger warnings. I kind of already had an idea of some of the things that had gone on in the book, and so I did have a little bit of forewarning, but the amount of... I knew that going in, her mother was an awful person, and obviously from the title, you can kind of gather that. But you know how you always kind of think like there's like redeeming qualities of everyone. I don't know that was true for Jeanette's mother. I don't know, like I'm interested to kind of hear the ending of the book and how she concludes her kind of saying goodbye to her mother would be kind of what I assume, like where this book is going to go. Because finding peace with a person who has done this many things to you would be very, very challenging. With that said, so a couple of things I just want to talk about, not necessarily the content in the book, but the way the book is written. I struggle reading nonfiction books. I struggle with focus. I struggle with keeping my interest because of the fact that, I mean, it's one of the reasons I read fantasy is I like escapism and I like to live in a world that I'm not already in. I don't enjoy being surrounded by horrible things all of the time. And a lot of memoirs, especially ones written in this way, turn me off because of the fact that I don't want to be surrounded by horrible people and horrible things all of the time. That's not the reason that I read. However, I will say that the way that this book is written, first off, it has very, very short chapters. And so you're in it, you get a snippet of something that she wants you to know, and then you're out. And we move on to the next thing. Now, most of the time we're moving on to the next horrible thing. But the way that it's written, the pacing of it, I think is really good. I have had success in nonfiction books that are written by actors or comedians. I really liked Born a Crime by Trevor Noah. I think the experiences as actors, actresses, comedians, people who are constantly in the limelight, does give their narrative more engagement for me. The pacing, I think, like I said, the pacing of this has been really quick and kind of snapshots, you're in and you're out, I think has kept my brain engaged and not completely, I don't know, downtrodden because of how kind of depressing the content is. I also have really appreciated this book because of her perspective as a child. So like I said, the portions of the book that I've read so far are from age 6 to 12. And seeing really terrible things as an adult, you know that certain things, a parent should not treat a child a certain way. But seeing it from the child's perspective of, I just want to make my mother happy and I'm going to do these things because I know that I'm going to have a better day if I do them and it's up to me. And seeing her have to suffer through that, but not thinking that it's wrong, is really emotional and really tragic. That she had a childhood that, well, she didn't have a childhood, essentially. So, needless to say, I am enjoying it, if that's the right word. I think that it's really well written. I do, before I get to the next 200 pages, I want to read you guys a quote from a page. This is where she starts talking about, without giving like spoilers, but she starts talking about the fact that she really likes to write. And so her mother is, throughout the first 100 pages, her mother is pushing her to be a child actress and she's getting auditions and blah, blah, blah. But then Jeanette has started to also have interest in writing. And she says something specific about writing that I think is really powerful. She says, "Through writing, I feel power for the first time in my life. I don't have to say somebody else's words. I can write my own. I could be myself for once. I like the privacy of it. Nobody's watching, nobody's judging, nobody's weighing in. No casting directors or agents or managers or directors or mom. Just me and the page. Writing is the opposite of performing to me. Performing feels inherently fake. Writing feels inherently real." And I just think that that's really powerful with what she's going through in trying to be a child actress. And then also the fact that she wrote this book, I think it speaks to her taking back her power. I really just enjoyed that. So I will catch up with you guys when I get to page 200. In the meantime, I don't know, I might go for a walk. We'll see. You guys will find out before me. So yeah, I'll see you in the next update. Back from my walk. So to give you guys a little context of some of the things that you might have seen. So I tried to show you the fact that fall is coming. So there were definitely some yards that have some leaves in them, which I was excited about. And then one of our neighbors has this huge hornet's nest on one of their trees. And so my mom and I, when we walk in my neighborhood, we always try to avoid that tree. So I showed you that. We also ran into like a spider, which I tried to give you guys a little bit of warning for that. The spiders, I don't know what type of spider it is, but we've dealt with them for a while, and so I don't think that they're anything dangerous, but that particular spider is one that that type of spider is one that my mom and I, in the past, whenever we've been walking, she stepped on one, and they like carry their babies on them, and the babies went everywhere. And I'm pretty sure if you look at the video that I put in, at least I think as long as it came out, you can see like the little babies on the back of it. And ugh. Anyway, moving on to the book. So I'm at 200 pages now. So the page 100 to 200, you follow her from age 12 to 18, 19 years old. And you get to start seeing her realize that maybe some of the things that her mother has done aren't great. She has some resentment, but she also feels guilty for that resentment because she loves her mother, and she doesn't think that she can feel guilty, or she doesn't think that she should feel resentment, so she feels guilty about the resentment that she holds towards her mom. So you kind of start seeing her separate from this really close relationship that she's had with her mother. You see a kind of desperation in her mom and to try and keep that relationship. You also have some things going on with her mother health-wise that they end up having to deal with, and that essentially make it harder for her mother to be as big of a part in her life as she has always been. So that creates some separation as well. And so you get to see her growth through that and how she changes, but also some negatives and some things that she might be doing to fill the gap in a way. Some really interesting concept, and something that I've seen in my own life, and then also some friends of mine, is she talks about the guilt that she has for not feeling grateful for what she has. So obviously she has this really impressive career, and she's kind of, famous, and she has money and blah, blah, blah. And there's this scene with her and one of her co-stars. I think they're in a hotel room together, and they're talking about the fact that like they're irritated by some of the things that are in their lives, and they don't feel grateful for them, but then they feel this guilt because they feel like, I have all of this stuff, how can I not be happy? And that I don't know, that concept of feeling like you should not have depression or anxiety because you have this great life. I've had that, and like I've had that thought as far as like you just feel guilty because you're like, I definitely have all of these things that I should be grateful for, and yet I'm stressed out, or I'm upset about these other things in my life, or I'm just mentally drained and mentally taxed. And I know that that's a very common thing that people go through, is whenever they do have anxiety or depression, or just, maybe not something that's diagnosed, but just having a hard time, they feel like they're not allowed to have that feeling because of the fact that they have a roof over their head, and they have, they're not starving and things like that. And so I think that that's a very relatable message that she had during this 100 pages, that, even though she is a movie star and she has, been kind of in the limelight, I don't know, it is just very relatable. The fact that everyone goes through that kind of thought process, or a lot of people go through that thought process of, I don't deserve to be sad, and so I can't be sad. So I appreciated that perspective from her. At this point in time in the book, her mother has died, which isn't a spoiler because, and so it's at the very end of what I had read. So we're starting to see what her life is like after her mother has passed. And yeah, I hope that things get better for her. I'm assuming, being that she wrote this book, that they have gotten better, and I know that it's a process and that never, nothing's going to be perfect, but I hope that things start getting better. So yeah, we'll see. Next time I check in with you guys, it will be at the end of the book. Okay, final update. I really like this, guys. So within the last 100 pages, we had some escalation of some of the things that she has been dealing with, and the grief of losing her mother, and her reaching out for help, having some success, some not so great successes. And once again, like, healing's, a process, and hers was definitely a process, and I'm sure it still is. But I think that the message that she eventually got to, or like the place that she eventually got to at the end of the book, I think it was really good. I think that, I think a lot of people, if you are dealing with, even if you're not dealing with the relationship between you and a loved one, it doesn't have to be a family member, it could be a friend, that you maybe know the relationship isn't quite healthy for you, even if it's not even a death, if it's just a loss of friendship where you knew you had to step away. I think that this book has some really good messaging in it, along with all of the heartache and things that she went through. I have a couple of quotes that I also want to read you guys that I just thought were either really powerful or spoke to me in some way. So this first one says, "I'm cemented in people's mind as the person I was when I was a kid. A person I feel like I've far outgrown, but the world won't let me outgrow it. The world won't let me be anyone else. The world only wants me to be Sam Puckett." So I think that this was her dealing with, obviously, the constant reminder that she is this character on television that people know, and some really bizarre and people not reading the room situations happen to her, and I'm sure that happens to a lot of celebrities, that they constantly get reminded of a specific character. I know that, like, Elijah Woods has said this about his portrayal of Frodo, that he had a really hard time breaking out of that role because it's just what people know him as. Same thing with, I think, Daniel Radcliffe, I think is his name, for Harry Potter. I do think that actors and actresses sometimes get stuck in a very pivotal role, and a lot of people don't want to play those characters because of the fact that they get stuck known as that person. But I think that this, even though it's talking about her portrayal of Sam Puckett, I also think that this is something that a lot of people, whenever you have friendships, or childhood friendships specifically, or family members who have known you since you were little, sometimes you do have moments where people want you to be who you used to be, and you have to be willing to push back on that and say, I've grown from that, and that's not who I am anymore, and you either need to accept it or move on. And I think that that's really hard for people. I think that's really hard for people to get past, because especially if it's someone like a family member or someone that you, like a childhood friend, it's hard for you to say, like, I'm not who you think I am anymore. I just thought that sentiment was really powerful to me. In the next quote, I'm going to quote the first part and then, like, paraphrase some of the rest of the page, because it's kind of a long sentiment here. It says, "Why do we romanticize the dead? Why can't we be honest about them?" And she goes on to talk about the fact that because this is her mom, a lot of people it is an expectation that, moms are saintly and moms are perfect, and it's okay. Like, it's okay if your mom did these things because she's your mom and you should forgive her, those types of things. And she goes on to say, "I had her on a pedestal, and I know how detrimental that pedestal was to my well-being and my life." And then it goes on once again, paraphrasing, it says, "My mom didn't deserve her pedestal. She was a narcissist. She refused to admit she had any problems, despite how destructive those problems were to our entire family. My mom emotionally, mentally, and physically abused me in ways that will forever impact me." And I feel for that, like the emotion behind the fact that this is her mother, and I think that makes it worse. That these things were done to her by someone who should have protected her and should have been there for her. And she, you know, it was hard for her to let go of that romanticization of her mother being perfect and being the one who did want what was best for her whenever really she didn't. Yeah, I really enjoyed this book. I think it's an amazing read, and I think it's a horrible, heartbreaking story. But the end of it is hopeful in the sense that she was able to not heal completely, because like I said, healing is a process, but she's able to get to a place of almost peace with her healing process and move forward. And I think that people need to see that that's a possibility. Including myself. Like, I think that there are certain things in life that we need to be okay with letting go and stop beating ourselves up about it. But yeah, I don't rate nonfiction books, I should say that. And so I can't say that this is a 5-star read, because I don't know, it's just one of my things. I don't tend to rate or I don't tend to rate nonfiction books. But I think this was excellent. I'm so pleased that I picked this one, and whoever, this was your 5-star book, whoever's list I got, well done. Because I would probably not have picked this up without this project. So yeah, I'm excited to hear from the person whose list I chose, and get to know more about them. So let's hear from them now.
Surprise! It's me again. I bet you didn't see that coming, or maybe you did, I don't know. But yes, I am the person who recommended those books for you. Those are all books that I personally rated 5 stars. Hopefully you enjoyed at least one of them. I don't know which one you read, obviously, but I'm hoping for the best. I'm hoping that you liked it. I know that you already know who I am, but for those of you watching who don't know who I am, I'm Nell. My channel name is Nell Diamond. I do the regular booktuber stuff, you know, the hauls, the TBRs, the vlogs, the wrap-ups. I read a little bit of everything. The genres that I tend to prefer the most are mystery, thriller, suspense, and rom-coms. I try to recommend books that I haven't talked about too much on my channel, because I didn't want it to be a dead giveaway when you got the list and know, like, oh, that's definitely Nell's list. So hopefully I didn't give myself away. Hopefully you enjoyed the book that you read. Hopefully you enjoyed the overall experience of participating in this collab. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful to have you as a participant. And yeah, I'll see you around the booktube universe. Bye guys.